Hey, welcome to the Hinkle Shop. In this video, we're going to explore 3 different whiskey smokers. Different complexities, different value, and how I went about making them. We're going to look at the easiest one to make, very simple. We're going to take a look at this one here with the inlay, and I'll explain the inlay process. We'll mash it together, and we'll see what we get and how we got such nice, tight inlay. And then, of course, we'll go to the best one, which you're going to have to stick around to find out what it is and how we did it. Let's get started. Okay, so to use the smoker, you've got to have a heat source, a small flame. This ought to do it. First thing you have to do is create the basic shape. Let's take a look at how we do that in Carveco. All right, quickly, we're going to go with a new model. Stock size I chose is 5x5. You could go 6x6 or whatever you choose. Origin in the bottom left, resolution cranked right up. Let's click OK. So the basic shape is an oval. The oval is 3.5 by 4.5. Start with your square tool, create a square, go to the right over here, and width is 3.5 as I said, height is 4.5. Click create, push F9 to put it in the center. Go down here on the left hand side to your fillet vectors tool. The radius should be 1.5 and it should be a fillet arc. Go to each corner, click on the corners, and as you can see it's going to round it out just like that. Go to the cursor tool, click off of it. There's your basic shape. Now you have to have the hole and the cup, so we'll start with the circle tool, and you can put this anywhere you like. So let's just drag out a circle. I went 0.25 diameter, click create. We need another circle directly over top of the first one. So we'll go until we get the crosshair, left click and drag out. Now that one needs to be whatever the size, diameter your screen, your filter screen is. Mine were 0.75, click create. And that's the basis for the hole for the smoke to pass through and the cup for the chips to sit in. Now you can highlight all of that and put it anywhere you want on your design. Just keep in mind that it needs to be, it has to be somewhere where it doesn't destroy your graphic that you're going to put in. Now if your graphic happens to have a hole dead center, put it right in the center. Push F9 and it puts it in the center. Now if you want to ensure that this thing is in alignment in Carveco, push F9, push Alt, and grab it and drag it down or up, left or right. And as you can see, it snaps to the straight line from its original position. In my case, I went down to the bottom like this. Let go of the mouse, and it's in the bottom in the center. Choose a graphic. For simplicity's sake, I'll go over here to the graphics. It's Valentine's Day today, so I hope you got your sweetie something. We'll grab this heart and drag it over in. It's way too big. We'll resize this heart. Let's go 3 by 3 and apply. It now fits. We'll grab it and slide it up a little bit so that it doesn't interfere with the hole for the cup. And as you can see, that cup moved on me, so we'll push F9 one more time, Alt again, and we will slide that back down into position. The trick to this is releasing the mouse before you release the Alt button. That makes it sit still. So there's your basic graphic. You'll do a V-carve on this heart. You'll do, I used an 1/8 inch end mill for the tooling on this, an 1/8 inch end mill to cut it out, and an 1/8 inch end mill to create this. You will select the outside of that, do an area clearance down roughly 1/2 inch. That'll leave you 1/4 inch material in the bottom of the recess. Click on the center and cut that completely out. Drill it completely out all the way through, 0.75. Now the other thing you can do is take this same vector and pull it off to the side if you have room. Create another circle. We can do that by creating an offset, or we can just go to the circle tool, start in the center, and drag it out to say 1 inch. That would give us a 1/4 inch all the way around the outside of that. Closing this out, going to the cursor tool, and then you would simply Go in the center and do an area clearance all the way through here. Go to a profile tool and cut it loose, and then you have the cup that you can put in the center over top of your hole. So that's the basic shape and how you make the cup in Carveco. Let's go back to the mill. I didn't say in there, but we're using a 30-degree V-bit here to cut this out. The graphics are very tiny, so the smaller the graphic, the smaller the V-bit needs to be in order to accomplish it. As always, there's fuzzies and things in there. A quick tip, a wire brush makes short work of getting that stuff. So to begin with, we'll punch the hole through for the smoke to pass out, and then we'll use the same bit to create the recess pocket. After we create the recess, we're going to go over to the other side of the stock and we're going to create the cup that we'll put over top of it to make more room for more chips to help the smoking process, ensuring that we aren't going to run into the edge of the actual base when we do this. You have to make sure when you're programming this out that you're not going to run into the base. This will be an area clearance all the way down to the bottom, not going all the way through the stock though. I don't like to do that because I don't like to have to use tabs. I'll leave 0.1 on the material and take it to the sander and smooth it off and remove the bottom piece that didn't get milled. Once it's completed that, we'll cut out the actual shape of the base. And as you can see, I've missed the cup and we're cutting clean. Now watch close, right through my clamp. That's the value of making clamps that are not steel, not metal. You can cut through a clamp and it doesn't have to, be a huge issue. I've done it with the plastic one on the left, and you can see that I just did it with the one on the right. And those things are made of plywood, and I can punch them out with the CNC like nobody's business. If you make an error, it's not a huge catastrophe. As I said, I don't go all the way through the stock here because I don't like tabs. I just sand the stock down and make it nice and smooth, and that way I don't have to worry about anything moving. And we'll finish off by cutting the cup loose. And as you can see, I'm not touching the base when the bit comes around. And we'll be in good shape. Okay, there's a shameless Onefinity plug with that thumb drive there. I do have a Onefinity. It's an awesome machine. But the one thing I want to point out about acrylic paint, you don't have to really be super careful about getting it on the sides or on the top of the project. Because it doesn't bleed, you can sand it off and you'll be in good shape, as you can see here. I mean, I do the best I can, but you're dealing with a very small area trying to get that paint into. You just want to make sure you cover all the edges and all the sides so that there's no voids when you do sand it back out. As you can see here, it looks like a pretty good mess, but it will all sand off. That's the beauty of acrylic. And there's another thing about acrylic that I like too. When you're done painting, because it's so thick, you can scoop it back up and put it back in the container, so it's minimal waste. I highly encourage you to give acrylic paint a try. I think you'll be pleased. Okay, on to the better one, the inlay, the one that everybody seems to be interested in. I'm going to leave that image up there on the left for this whole segment. Check out that video. I highly encourage it. I'm sure it'll help you out. It'll help you understand the inlay process. The basic premise is stop with the different start depths and use an offset to create your male. Now you're going to see there's quite a bit of fuzz down in there when you're doing your inlays. One thing I don't mention is you have to clean the bottoms of your females out and the males so that everything can squeeze together correctly. But I encourage you to check out that V-carve inlay video of mine on my channel, and I think you will be happy with the results. This is a 15-degree V-bit. We got our female and our male. And obviously we're doing an inlay. Now I anticipate quite a little bit of loss of detail on this because I'm doing this long grain, and that's very, very difficult on this little bitty thing. I'm thinking I'm going to lose it right in here, but I've done a little bit of preliminary cleanup on this guy, and I've been working on this one. Let's see if the offset theory that I always use works. It seems to. Don't break the screwdriver, Vernon. We'll keep cleaning it up. We'll mash it together, and we'll see what we get. All right, there. Okay, so as I said, we did lose a little detail. The eye is out there, and there was some other spots, but I put the old glue in and sanded it and covered them up. I think there was one right there. There's a few in there, but for this $5 project, I can certainly deal with that loss of detail. Now, the thing I can't deal with, though, is here's a mistake. In the male, when I carved the male, I should have removed that piece right there for the recess, or tray, or whatever we're going to call it. So now I'm going to have to take a spade bit or a router and do it by hand and cut that maple out of the center of there. But all in all, not too bad. We'll cut it loose, sand it up, throw the finish on it, and move on to the $50 whiskey smoker. So I guess if I'm going to show you how these things work, I got to go to the oak wood chip store. Not. This is how you make your wood chips. Something like this is more appropriate, or even smaller. Let's go with something like this. Maybe we'll have to go with something like this. There, now we got her. Put that one on the blooper reel. But in any case, get yourself one of these. That's the best thing to do. Put this over your cup, put some chips in it, and into the cup. Smoker number one. It's a basic V-carve. Very simple, very easy to accomplish. All of these were made with black walnut. What you're going to do is go into the software of your choice. I use Carveco, as everybody knows. I really think Carveco is the best one out there. You're going to create this thing. It is 3.5 inches wide by 4.5 inches tall, rounding the corners to create this oval shape. pick a graphic of your choice, size it so that it fits within the parameters or the size of the smoker itself, carve the V-carve into it, then go through with your end mill and cut the hole and then cut the recess. Make sure you're making a little cup like this in the same stock that you're cutting this out so that everything matches. Taking acrylic paint, we're going to paint inside of this thing as best we can with acrylic. Acrylic doesn't seep into the wood pores as badly as many of the other paints that are out there. Paint it in, sand it off so it's nice and smooth, glue the cup to the top in line with the hole. You can see the hole, you can see the lines. And then use whatever finish of your choice. I happen to have used lacquer on these guys here. So there's number one. Number two is a V-carve inlay. A little more complicated, worth a little more money, takes a lot more time to do this than that one. Basically this one, carve it out and glue it together and you're finished. This one on the other hand is creating a female, creating a male of an opposing wood species, same dimensions, 3.5 by 4.5. Picking the graphic and then doing the inlay. Now, I have an inlay video, V-carve inlay video, that I will either put here or somewhere. Check it out on the channel. I think it'll help everybody out. I have my own theory on how to do inlays. We don't use start depths. I don't want to say it's nonsense, but it complicates things more than it needs to be. But as you can see with this, I'm hoping the camera's picking that up. There's questions of, well, your method, Vernon, destroys detail. I don't know how much more detail you can get on a piece that's 3.5 by 4.5. You can see every little hair on that lion. So pick an opposing species, dark, light, whatever your preference is. Go to that video and learn how to do V-carve inlay. Finish it with your choice. Now I should have put one of these cups on this guy here. Should have put that on there to give it a little more space for the wood chips. I didn't do it. I was focusing on the inlay because I wanted it to come out nice and I wanted to make sure that we could make a point that this was going to work. But same thing, drill a hole, drill the recess, finish it with whatever you choose. There's the V-carve inlay. A little more money, a little more value. And finally, number three. Number three is a relief carving with a border put around the relief carving so that I don't have to cut anything out by hand. I don't have to sand anything. This one here is big money. This is a lion head relief carving. We tried to stick with the lion theme here. I wanted to use the opening of the lion's mouth as the actual cup. We pulled that off. These guys have screens down in the bottom of them. Once the recess is in and your finish is on, then I push the screen down in, the little CA glue to hold it. Now, be careful when you're doing that. I actually was blowing on it to dry and a little piece splashed up onto the lip. Not a good day. Be careful putting the CA glue when you're putting it down in. Finish with lacquer. Choose any relief of your choice. The trick to reliefs and getting rid of all the lines everybody's having trouble with going across is to reduce your step over. If you're getting those lines, your step over is too great. You need to reduce it so that your bit is basically overlapping itself as it's going over, removing all of the lines. But that's number three. Obviously, as I said, it's the lion in black walnut. This relief was created in Carveco. It was on their Christmas calendar giveaway that they do around Christmas time every year. If you have Carveco, I highly recommend doing that next year. This year it's already closed out, so they're not available. But I also encourage you to check out Carveco's AI feature for creating reliefs because it is outstanding. But that's 3 smokers from the Hinkle shop. Good, better, best. I hope you got something from this video. I hope you found value in it. As always, like, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch you on the next one.